Today let's combine two things. So we're going to go into L-sit variations, working up to closer towards like a V-sit position. Then I'm going to go into bent arm presses as well. So L-sit to bent arm press to handstand. But let's start off with the horrible part of the L-sit. Now the horrible part of the L-sit is the compression, or making sure that you're working to your maximal flexibility. So what you need to be aware of when you're working the L-sit is that you need to have at least 90 degrees of hip flexion to allow that same range of motion, so 90 degrees there, without having to force the position. Now if you have to force the position, you're going to have to buckle or compensate elsewhere in the body if you literally don't have the flexibility to get into 90 degrees or even to a V-sit type position. And a nice way to check that is just to sit down on the floor and see if you can sit up with a flat back in that 90 degree position there. If you can't and it looks like that, we're going to have to do some sort of compensation to allow a L-sit position. Now to maximize that, before each session you could go into some forward fold work, so where you're getting into your calves and your hamstrings. It's made even harder or more intense by elevating the feet up, so you're into a dorsiflex position and then just pushing down as deep as you can into that position. So that's just going to open you up so you have more range there, and obviously all your standard hamstring exercises in terms of stretching are going to help you out. You could also do some compression work, so sitting down in this position, first fingertips, if you go by the knees, see if you can lift the feet up and come back down again. If that feels okay, palms to the floor, same thing, lifting up, coming down. Now you can do repetitions, or you could do slower reps or holds in that position. Either way, it's going to get horrible and crampy, and the further you take your hands further forwards, the harder that's going to be. Another cool one is to sit by a wall and be like this, and then just slowly move closer to the wall and take your legs up. So I'm trying to take my torso to the wall while my feet go up in the air. This is going to take us more towards a V-sit type position, so trying to get chest as proud as we can, not rounding, and then try and go as close to the wall as you can. This is going to be very tricep intense if I try and muscle the position, but you can see there that that's going to get very horrible quickly. But that's definitely a cool one, especially if you are going towards something like a V-sit. But your number one exercise for conditioning the L-sit is going to be the L-sit. So nice and easy to start with. Higher time in a tucked position. So I'm trying to keep the chest as open as I can, the shoulders back and down, really lift the knees up as high as I can, and just hold here for time. 20 to 30 seconds is going to be a real good test to see if you have that conditioning. And video yourself from the side and see where your knees are. Are they here? Are they here? Are they here? Most people are going to be able to get their knee in line with the hip crease at least, and that's what I'd say to do as minimum, is have the knee somewhere here. Don't let it hang down, and don't start to force the leg straight too quickly. And then we can just slowly decrease the time and increase the lever arm, so start to extend the legs out further. So I could go 10 seconds and try and hold maybe somewhere like that, like halfway. And similar to other static holds, you can just dictate the progression by using time. So if I said to you, extend the legs as much as possible, but you must hold for 15 seconds, that's going to dictate how much you go out for. So there I might get to like 10 seconds and then have to bend the knees to get that final 5 seconds, or I could start in that semi-open position and hold for the whole 15 seconds. So I wouldn't dictate beforehand that you're going to definitely do a tucked L-sit position or a 90 degree L-sit position, or even you're going to start to go towards a V-sit. I would just slowly keep progressing it and know that this is the start, then we progress out till 90 degrees, then we start going higher with the feet. Now I can't do a cool V-sit, I just haven't worked it enough, but you get the idea. As I'm going past 90 degrees and I'm going closer towards V-sit, but it's not a true V-sit position where my knees are against my face. Then I could make it more dynamic. I could do repetitions from like a support position. Now my support position here is limited because I can't go straight legs, but I'm in a straighter supported position with my body hanging straight down, and then I'm just going to come up to a L-sit and back down again. So I could do reps like that, or straighter legs if I have that. So then we have the dynamic reps, we have the static holds, and I'm a big fan, if you are going to do dynamics, is just do it with a shoulder stand as well. Then you're getting that added benefit of working this movement where we go from L-sit through to shoulder stand, back through to L-sit or V-sit for repetitions. If you're newer to the shoulder stand L-sit positions, start in this one, so tucked one, get someone to spot you first, make it nice and safe. Go in very, very slowly into the position and then learn to transition through to an L-sit. Once that becomes comfortable, going in the opposite direction, shoulders come forwards and down as the hips and legs come up, go through to your L-sit position again. Your L-sit, your shoulder stand. And again, have someone here. If we're using momentum, if we're using these higher ones, we want to create safety and confidence first. Make sure you have good understanding of that shoulder stand. So get the angle like this, especially if you're going to start to extend the legs out. It's this position, it's not vertical. If you start taking your hips and legs above your shoulders, you're going to backsplat. You can set up with a wall here, you can bend one leg, and I have other videos that cover that in way more detail. Now, if we want to start adding in the handstand movement into this as well, we need to have some prerequisites here, especially if we're going to use these higher bars, we need to be able to handstand on them. So being able to hold this position with control is super important. If you don't have that, first learn on lower P bars, get the balance correct before going into this. Learn how to bail, so learning to come over to one side and get out. And do that on both sides. You'll have a dominant side in terms of exiting, but making sure that you are comfortable if something happens, you can get out without falling over. The other prerequisite we need is at minimum, we need to have a clean eccentric. So to be able to go from a handstand down to a shoulder stand with control. So this position, show control, and then slowly come down, elbows into the torso, find that shoulder stand position and hold. Then you can do your transition round to the L-sit, whichever variation that is. And if you can do that, but you can't go back up yet, I would just hit that with loads and loads of repetitions, really slow transitions on the eccentric, really slow transitions from the shoulder stand to the L-sit. Now, if you have handstand push-ups, if you have crow to handstand, and we're also confident to handstand on these he bars, high P bars, we can start to use momentum to take us from the L-sit, V-sit position all the way through up to a handstand. Now, you can do partial range to start with, not go all the way up, so you can start here and then push, come back down, and just start to build on that, build confidence. Remember, these can move around, so don't be too crazy with the movement, but use the momentum to help you learn how much you can push it and keep building on it until you can do one all the way from there up to, oh, nearly didn't get that, to handstand. And then once you're up there, get the slow eccentric back down for added time under tension. Now, that first push-up for me was a good example of not warming up enough. I haven't done any handstand push-ups, or I went straight into those L-sits and expected to get a deficit handstand push-up out. And you can see I got up, but it was a struggle. So once I've warmed up, I should be able to get it a little bit cleaner. Let's see if that does work. Yeah, so that's stronger. But if I do like 3 to 5 reps to warm up, I sort of peak, and then they'll get harder again afterwards. But after I've done that little initial warm-up, I get 2 or 3 reps that are probably the cleanest. So do make sure whatever intensity or level you're at, that you are doing enough warm-up before you go into your harder movements. Now, if you'd like help with your training, check out my website, www.paultwyman.com.au. I offer online coaching and have my app. Links all down in the description. Thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated. It really does help the channel out, and I'll speak to you in the next one.